third from the bottom. I mean, how crazy is that, right? After 3 matches, this is just not no signs of the esports World Cup champions right now within EVOS, because they were absolutely deadly on their run to become champions. And right now, with what they're doing out there on the battlefield, it looks like they're just not as excited to show up really strong. Maybe they want to pull an Onyx Olympus on us, for all we know. But, of course, to see that, we'll have to wait all the way for the Grand Finals. And I don't want to wait that long, Gideon.
Yeah, I mean, these are just the preludes of it, right? The Phase 2 is all about just kind of setting these teams up for potential success, or at the very least foreshadowing of what's going to happen during the Grand Finals. Well, unless there's a patch that comes in between, but we're hoping that's not going to be the case, because our next map in our game schedule, map number 4 for game number 4, it's going to be Solara. And Solara has had a lot of interesting results. A lot of teams just seem to be like, all right, we're getting the hang of the map. It allows us to be a little more aggressive than we thought we could be.
Yeah, and this is where things get a little bit more painful for RRQ, because for some reason they just have not found dominance, nor have they found any sort of mastery on this map just yet. Buriram, on the other hand, are very comfortable. But speaking of teams that are comfortable, WAG is very comfortable on Solara as well. Let's look at their chaos factor here. 73 eliminations from the Wonder Kid T-Kui, 92 knockdowns in total. X-Bor, this king of the Riptide Rhythm with the 50 eliminations on his side, one of the best snipers out there right now.
I was really worried about WAG at the beginning of the fall season of 2025, thinking that like, man, changing right now, it's going to force them to find a new identity. But with the changes that they made, T-Koi is definitely feeling himself, as we saw during week number 1 and even week number 2. X-Bor even opting to go for a bit of a hybrid to his role because of the way that the meta has shifted. And PLS1, he has been an absolute monster to kind of fulfill what X-Bor wasn't able to do last season. Obviously, Cyrus being a notable support player, he's so reliable. He's somebody that you want covering your back.
Yeah, no doubt at all. Of course, we all miss Alan, but we do get to see him in performance on the side of Heavy. But as far as PLS1 is concerned, yeah, there were some questions initially, like what kind of impact is he bringing into the fights, because Alan used to be quite the big contributor for WAG. But I guess they're just changing their play style overall, and they just expect a little bit more of that long-range backup from PLS1. Because if you look at how the team factor, the dynamics has changed overall. T-Kui is just able to get the job done upfront and personal a little bit more proficiently than Alan could in the past. And overall, this has fared WAG really well. But of course, when it comes into the consistency factor, this is where they kind of dip out sometimes. We don't know exactly what the reasons are here, because sometimes they shine bright like the North Star. Sometimes they just don't show up on that day at all. Unlike teams like Toda, they have just been consistently struggling all throughout the competition.
Yeah, I think that's just the representation of what the meta is asking of these players. It's now, hey, it's anybody's game. If you can make a play as an individual, we will reward you, which is why we're seeing a lot of the Vietnamese teams actually playing as 4. Even if your opponent does make a significant play, you better be able to take out like 2, maybe even 3 of our members if you want it to be successful. 2 is already asking for a lot. 3 most of the time is impossible, which is why we see that P Esports, most of the time, they stay very tightly knit together, always trying to 2v1 their opponents. They want to give little to no chance for their opponents to find that initial pick, that big initialization during the fight.
And P Esports, this is one of their decent maps as well, Solara. So they have a really solid opportunity to continue climbing up the leaderboard, or at least stay where they are. They're in a really decent spot. Of course, the better option would be to catch up with Falcons, but I don't know how does one do that at this point of time, because Falcons have just been so proficient at finding the final circles, as well as raking in massive eliminations, right? They did the same yesterday, but they could not get those placement points. Today, they're just getting the job done with those circle reads, and they are turning out to be pretty difficult to manage in these gunfights as well. But of course, this is game number 4 time as we head on into the latest addition into Free Fire, Solara.
It's time to strike and rise for all of our teams. If they want to get points, it's now. We get a even distribution on the flight path. It's going to cut right down the center. Everything is accessible to all the other teams, but let's see how how the early game is going to be played, because we've seen in the past 3 maps so much activity, and by Delta Isles, GOW and as well as RRQ will be facing each other off. Falcons as well as Flash currently nowhere close to anybody. Flash a little bit closer to the Delta Isles for this combat, but let's see how it's going to be playing out, because immediately Time Turner has been dropped down. Deanne, unlucky, wasn't able to pick up a gun in time, and now they've got GOW completely surrounded by the compound. Demon finds one into trading Akhoy as well, but it's a little too late as 18 Gears here to back them up. A 1-for-2 trade, not ideal for GOW, and that should be a collapse as Akhoy, the last to fall.
Oh, looks like he had enough coins to buy back at least one player, because GOW is still in the game. So good enough survival instincts from Akhoy. And goodness knows how he got the extra 200 coins. Might have been a coin machine there that he hid in all of that chaos. So good thinking on his feet, even though the team was pressured tremendously by RRQ early on. Thought out though, we'll have Noki in an unfortunate spot in a 1v2. Barros with the 180. Damages with the Mac 10, and Cypher with the Bison follow-up makes that work too easy. Team SR, on the other hand, is not as blessed with the gun early on with the mini Uzi in hand. Not really in meta right now.
I mean, it's still early days in this game. I don't like it when Dodak does this, right? They always have Noki in a position where it's like, yeah, you can hold this person hostage, but if you're not taking ground upon that hostage, you're really just putting Noki in a worse position than they started with. But their decision was, hey, we're going to have a Noki hold in position. We're going to try and stall them for as long as possible. It already looked like they predetermined that they were going to try and walk away from this fight anyways. Trap now 1v3, already forcing out a Time Turner, quickly using his own dash, but unfortunately the Rebel Rush is not going to be enough unless he finds that pick, and Traps goes down. Faiz gets him back on his feet.
Yeah, instant revive coming through there, but very good response from Team SR. A timely Time Turner pulled out. He could have gotten knocked down in that situation. Just bought enough time for the rest of the team members of AGL to flood in to the Time Turner, and of course played the game of numbers against Traps. Virtus Pro on the other hand, Nameless, great Riptide Rhythm to break down their defenses. Rasya, what a follow-up, but the rest of his team members nowhere close to find the Punisher. Ray, out of nowhere, literally rushes into a whole squad of Virtus Pro, asking for trouble. And he will pay the price for that very aggressive push. But my, oh my, Coach Hill gets the job done with the MP40 of all guns.
They couldn't figure it out. They couldn't figure out where they were getting shot from. And Russia had an amazing position, and VP did not want to rotate off of it. Did not want to break line of sight. So far, we see that Kororo all by himself having to fight off the Zom, who's already trunked down to a quarter of his life. ABCD is too far away to actually help, but this allows Pina to quickly start taking ground against them. They're not going to let Team Flash walk away for free. They don't want to sneak. They don't want them to sneak a booyah away from them again. Especially since Vietnam has been adamant on playing in a very similar manner. Pina finally lands a shot at the end, and ABCD loses the 1v1.
Oh, Pina, it would have been embarrassing if he had lost that fight. Great movements from ABCD, but Pina just a tad bit better on those jumps there to avoid those shots. M590 finally getting that connection, and Team Flash now sent scrambling. But Limit spotted Wang M as he tried to get out of Windmill. And that basically is going to put him on the pause. He can't run away too far now. Oh, managed to get into a vehicle. Tina, no sniper, no problem. Woodpecker does manage to find the connection. And Flash down by another man.
Flash is going to have to recuperate the resources here. So we look at WAG by Funfair, chasing off one of the members of GOW. Not sure if they're aware of each other, but based on the movements we can see on the minimap, it feels like they had a good idea of where each other are. The GOW members, let's see, looks like all of their members are still alive, covering a very large basis out in the open field. Maybe WAG doesn't know where the other members are. They're aware of Dian, clearly, but now we look at RRQ finding AL mid-rotation, quickly taking on the opposite side of the hill to break line of sight, forcing dudes to drop down. And now, RRQ, how do they approach this? They see Barros walking away. They know that Cypher is by the rock. He jumps away, and now he has clear line of sight, takes him out mid-air.
Yeah, you can't get away from Ma'al in the distance like that. Had the marksman on him and goes for the Punisher. Wanted to go for the loot as well, but thought twice. Good thinking as he backed away from that loot box. The rest of the players, though, on the side of AGL, looking for recovery. And of course, the circle's not going to hurt too much now. They can definitely tank the blue. WAG up against GOW in the meantime. This might just turn out to be disastrous as Buriram rotates towards them.
Yeah, but we cut out over to PE Sports versus EVOS Divine. We've seen that PE Sports have beaten out EVOS Divine in the 4v4s before, but now with a Valiant Dash, especially with the nades as well, Kojio finds one, as Ray finds another, Nolan takes the trade, but it's too late. It's already over. PE Sports, too many members knocked, Laoho on the run, and he's already down. That's PE Sports in 11th. EVOS Divine win out the early.
Well, we are talking about how EVOS desperately needs some solid points to make their way back in here, and that it's a definite possibility because we've got 3 more games to go, and they're doing exactly that. And the last time we spotted out Buriram, they were on rotation to find the 2 Vietnamese squads. They did exactly that. Managed to pull a couple of points away, but this time sacrificing crews as well. He turned his back on the WAG players and was punished accordingly. Jonah with the AC-80 gets a couple of tags. Wasana trying to get the finisher in with the Trogon of all guns. Is unable to find those perfect connections just yet. And he is met by the player right outside in a 2v1 though. Still gets Fanbo low enough. Needed one more bullet to get the job done. Doesn't get the final hit in just yet. Shuts down Tikui though. That's a big one.
Alright, Wasana still knows how to utilize his Trogon, but luckily was able to buy just enough time for the rest of his members to actually get involved in the battle. However, Moshi, he's already low. 2 of them already dead to right. Wasana now taking the damage here, and unfortunately he goes down, and Moshi brings back Jonan as well as the crews. While this is happening though, there are a couple of off-screen eliminations. Archway is now in a lot of trouble because Moshi knows that his position has been revealed, and WAG on the chase to double-check that vending machine being the only location to find revives at this point in time.
Asana just making one tiny bit of mistake, letting one will go as he tried to circle away, playing that recovery, and of course one will taking advantage of that situation, managed to find his revenge after all. And Buriram now on the back foot. Early revivals have not fared them well so far, so we'll catch up with them in a little bit to see how they recover from this one. EVOS, on the other hand, will come across Toda, and this is just not a good fight for Toda. And Ray just on the spot, instantaneously shut down. Try to use the portal go to get to the top of the roof, and now it's going to be EVOS that uses it instead. Rasia is already getting the damage done in. Ubidels, aim got inside of their time turner. Blocked out though. Noki won't be able to reverse things out with the Trogon. And now using their own time turner against them. EVOS does have the numbers advantage. Looking for Noki, and he finds him, but not without the help of Rasia, who did not get involved in that CQC, but instead chose to stay far, far away, punishing the Toda players.
Russia, with that single headshot, turned that all around. AimGod, full belief, was already channeling up on that portal go before the headshot even came through. And now Traps all by himself. Eco Drain dominated and conquered by EVOS Divine. That it's really unfortunate for Todak especially, but now, wait, hold on. Flash as well as BRU. The fight isn't over between the two. Mochi finds the headshot, but the Zom takes out the crews. And at this point, with 4 eliminations in the bag and the blue already encircling them, Mochi is going to have to do his absolute best to find another pick off as the Riptide Rhythm comes through. Doesn't find that pick. Baits so that Jonah gets the shots on towards the Zom's side. ABCD isolates the fight. Zom's still alive with just a sliver of health as he take out Moshi. ABCD now in that 1v1. Zom is going to back him up, and ABCD is more than enough as BRU bounce out at 10th.
Yeah, this is definitely painful if you're a Buriram fan, but it is what it is. There's just no way they're going to qualify today, especially if they play like that. Obviously, get high taking a break today, allowing the crews to get the job done. Perhaps in the Lidoma series, the crews has managed to play Predator a little bit more proficiently than he has in the Southeast Asian lobby. They are just getting dunked upon game after game. But Rasia looking for the headshot, assisted by AimGod from afar. AWM able to get the player down. Riptide Rhythm now breaking down the defenses, throwing in those grenades as well to stop that pickup coming on through. Kochil, can he get it? Swan doesn't but the connection was there. Takes down their health either way, and that brings them up to a decent enough CQC.
Now they're going to keep on trying to play backwards. Reagan as well as Ingot unfortunately get left behind here as they go for the initial flank. Oh, Russia headshots Juan just to try and even up the tides. Currently, it's a 2v2 scenario here, but unfortunately... Oh, the revives! They managed to get through! No, the re-knock on top of it! These FDLs are doing God's work so far as Russia bails out of there! Luckily, he's got the passes to have his glue walls up in time as he bails through, and now will fall into the hands of GOW on his left. Wait. Did they notice him? I'm pretty sure they saw him for sure, right? Unless they're looking for more eliminations across the map. And now we go to the next fight between Falcons as well as RRQ. But wait, Limit's taking out Du from halfway across the map. But also next to Falls, Kuro has already dominated his side. 18 Deer gets locked out as Evos Divide ends up getting eliminated at the very end of the day. And Limit finds another headshot onto Abe. Headshot after headshot. This fight is over. RRQ bow out at 8th.
Yeah, wrong team to come across. This happened to Buriram yesterday up against Falcons on their recovery game, and now RRQ faces the same fate. Falcons are on fire. They definitely want to qualify today. They got close enough yesterday, but got outdone by Pharaoh of all squads, and they do not want to let go of their opportunity this time around. He was divine as well. There was a miraculous survival by Rasya, but unfortunately just could not hold on long enough. Riptide Rhythm now breaking down the defenses of WAG. Question is, who is shooting them from the opposite side? Bigatron's not the one getting the damage done. It is Team Flash of all squads. Riptide Rhythm now towards the top as well. WAG just can't seem to find a break.
And the worst part is that they're on the outside. They don't have natural cover to work with. Yes, their backs are clear, but at this point, all they have is just hitting the deck and praying that BTR don't go for the double swing because they are wide out in the open, feet pointing in their direction as well. As we see that WAG's PLS1 at the roof has been given covering fire from every team that has been taking a pot shot at his two boys who's hit the deck.
PLS1 needs to pull off some sort of a miracle play from up top. He's the only one that can save X-Boy and his buddy, but a huge boulder right in front of Team Flash will keep them defended for quite a while here. Vanwo and X-Boy can't do much the moment they step on out. It's instant death for them, delivered by Team Flash for sure. So they gotta hunker down. GOW and Falcons on the other hand, this is going to be quite a stalemate. 20 seconds for them to get this fight sorted out, though.
Let's see how they're going to sort it out, right? Because again, with 12 seconds left on the clock, they have to make a decision. GOW will have to face off against Falcons, whether they like it or not. If they make the first move, they're going to get shot in the back. And I don't think there's an open... actually, there could be an open compound for them to play in, but I don't think it's in the zone. So it might not be ideal... unless we're able to zoom in on that minimap a little bit more. And even AGAL on that northern side to make it really tight for the Falcons to make the TP in. It looks like the portal going right into the ring here, playing behind bits of lumber to watch their backs. They're going to do it early on so that they are the initial gatekeepers, but they got to be worried about AGAL on the off angle.
Yeah, very well played here by Falcons. That rotation was just a thing of beauty. Looking for yet another booyah. Grenade cooked up perfectly. GOW gonna soak in the damage. Timing's just a tad bit off, but those ice grenades now. The deep freeze ticking away at the GOW players. Beautiful Valiant dash. Rip just ripping down those glue walls, and GOW of all teams taking the fight up to Falcons.
Oh no, a mistake almost immediately after Rip. He opens it up, and now the next person comes in with their own Valiant dash, and now Hellblade breaks loose as AGL get involved, and Falcons taking too much of the damage. GOW, the first to get bowed out, but BTR have been fighting WAG this entire time, finally swinging out, and Export finds one into Koja just before that they exit the lobby. Even traps the next to fall. 3 squads immediately vaporize into dust, and a 4th one to join them as Limit is all by himself, and Team SR takes him out too, leaving our top 3.
My goodness. Okay, now this is a huge opportunity now for recovery. AGAL is not very close, but close enough to Falcons. If they can turn this into a massive game by wiping out all the players of Bigatron and Flash, this would be a huge one. But Flash and Bigatron doing Team AGL a big favor by shutting down each other. AGL just doesn't need to do anything except pick up the missing pieces here. as they just pick off 3 points off of both these squads.
Yep, and you can see that Team Flash wants to get involved. They're 3 members, but they know that BTR just went down, and one of the AGAL members get picked off as well. Team SR, yes, he's fighting about Huang Am. Hey, that's 3 headshots in a row to finish this off with an easy booyah. You can see their faces. They knew they had this in the bag.
Second booyah of the day for this Vietnamese squad. Team Flash back with a bang. They obviously were a little upset that they did not qualify in the top 12 to play yesterday, but it doesn't matter. 1 day of waiting got them heated up just enough to make a phenomenal stand-up performance here happen for themselves. But of course, a great game 1 at Alpine, followed by 2 subpar matches. But this is their comeback one, and it is a great play at Solara. Walking away with a booyah on top of everything else, and some solid points to add on to that.
Really, really solid points. These pickoffs here coming in from Huang Am, absolutely disgusting to open up so many angles of possibility for Flash. I mean, ABCD, now he doesn't necessarily have to be the one who finds these picks. If Huang Am can get them, he knows he can almost guarantee the second one after.
I mean, there's just no way Falcons could have seen that one coming. And they were in a decent enough engagement, and then AJL just crashed their party. You know, they love using that Oscar, Valiant dashing into defenses, surprising the heck out of people. But then this time, that strategy was used against them. They didn't see that coming, and that's exactly what Oscar brings to the table, right? That element of surprise and that shock factor, not only of bumping into you, throwing you around the battlefield, but also breaking down your valuable resources. Those glue walls that were supposed to protect you, disappearing in an instant. It's a little bit more deadlier than that Riptide Rhythm.
Yeah, it just vaporizes, because Riptide Rhythm, it's like, you know from roughly what direction they're coming for. Valiant Dash, he's already in your face. You gotta respond like fast. Or if not, you just get knocked back. Either way, really good stuff based on what we're seeing here in Solara. Again, the theme has been like early engagements lead to the mid game being so devastating, but I think now teams have kind of like, okay, we leave the early game with the early game stuff. Mid game, we just gotta make sure we don't die. One reset has costed so many of these teams a lot of time, especially in those final rings. It's just, I got no weapons, I got no resources. What am I supposed to do?
And of course, AGAL as well as Flash, they managed to get into that final circle, top 2 teams. But the bigger issue here is Falcons did manage to pick up quite a decent run of points on this map. Before they got eliminated, they had 10 eliminations in hand, right? I'm not too sure exactly in which spot they got eliminated in, but definitely more than 5 placement points. So this is going to keep them still at that #1 spot, and AGL is not going to be able to catch up just as quickly, right? We still have a massive point difference between them as well as that second spot, and obviously it's going to be a good solid game for AGAL, as well as a match where Falcons pull away 0 in order for this Thai team to catch up to their brothers.
But our MVP of this game goes to ABCD, right? 4 eliminations, 1,400 in terms of just raw damage, 4 knockdowns overall. This time he's running the Tatsuya, he's not running the Oscar on Solara, knowing that he could potentially find picks and then reset his dash. I'm rather surprised because, again, ABCD has been a staple player coming in for Flash. I think that Huang Am did just slightly better, but ABCD has definitely opened up these off angles to pull attention to himself, similarly to what we've seen Wasana do for Joanna or even Moshi. Bait them out, put them into the crosshair of Huang Am, and then start them off with an initial pick from Huang Am or even the Zom.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, he runs that Shani as well. So when you use that gear recycle in a heated battle, you also share some shield points with the rest of your team members, which is why Team Flash is always sticking together. And ABCD is the front man for the squad. So not only is he going out there getting that damage done, he's also absorbing some damage, but with that risk that he takes, he's got the fort to top his health right back up. So it's a great combination when it comes to the passive skills for this guy as well. And like you said, that Tatsuya, he goes in there, he activates that Rebel Rush, and he refreshes his fort. He gets tagged again, and he recovers again. It's a very good passive skill to have if you really want to get down and dirty right in the faces of your opponents. Overall, the Tatsuya, Oscar, Kodas, Kyler combination is pretty standard right